The most overlooked part of giving incredible pleasure is what happens before any physical contact ever begins. People often focus so much on the act itself that they completely underestimate the power of anticipation. Anticipation isn't just a warm-up, it's the emotional and psychological build-up that heightens every single sensation that follows. When you know how to create that tension, you've already set the foundation for an experience that feels far more intense than any single technique you could employ later on. It starts with your presence. The way you look at him can spark the first flicker of desire long before anything physical happens. Eye contact isn't just about seeing him, it's about letting him feel seen. Let your gaze linger just a little longer than usual. Let it carry the unspoken message that you're thinking about where this moment is headed. That slight pause in your eyes, that tiny smile playing at the corner of your mouth, can make his pulse quicken before you even touch him. You're creating a silent conversation that says, "I want you, and I know exactly what I'm about to do to you." Your physical proximity becomes part of the game. You don't need to throw yourself at him. Instead, you play with distance. Get close enough that he can feel your breath on his skin, but hold back just a fraction longer. Let him sense your energy without fully receiving it yet. That barely there contact, your hand resting on his leg, your fingertips lightly tracing his arm, your body brushing against him as you move closer, sends waves of sensation through his body, each one building on the last. Every nerve ending starts to wake up, priming him for what's to come. His mind begins to race with possibilities, and that mental imagery can often be even more arousing than the physical touch itself. What you say in these moments matters just as much. This isn't about reciting some pre-planned dirty talk script. It's about tapping into the specific dynamic you have with him. You might tease him with a whisper about how much you've been thinking about this moment, or how good he looks right now, or what you're planning to do to him. Your voice should drop just slightly, soft and controlled, inviting him into the fantasy you're creating. The key is authenticity. When your words feel real, when they reflect your actual desire for him, they become exponentially more powerful. His mind fills in the blanks, and the anticipation grows. Your pace is crucial. So many people rush this part because they're eager to get to what they consider the main event, but that's a mistake. The slower you take things, the more charged the atmosphere becomes. Each second you delay creates a vacuum that's filled with his growing desire. The air between you becomes electric. You want him to feel like every second without your full touch is almost unbearable, like he's craving you to the point where he can hardly sit still. You're drawing him in little by little, making sure that by the time your lips finally make contact, he's already been mentally and physically wound tight with anticipation. Even your breathing can amplify this effect. When you slow your breathing, when you let it deepen and sink subtly with his, you're creating an unspoken rhythm between you. It's a form of nonverbal communication that makes him feel more connected to you in that moment. He starts to feel that the energy between you is building naturally, organically, and that you're both completely in tune with where this is going. The subtle rise and fall of your chest, the way you exhale near his skin, even the occasional barely audible sigh of your own arousal, it all contributes to the atmosphere of mounting tension. You can involve all of his senses in this build-up. Sight, sound, touch, scent, all of them can be used to heighten anticipation. Light touches with your fingertips create goosebumps. Soft whispers ignite his imagination. The scent of your skin draws him closer, and the look in your eyes keeps him locked into the experience. When you engage multiple senses, you create a layered experience that feels immersive. It's not just about what's happening on the surface. It's about the deeper feeling of being completely captivated by you. Every micro movement becomes deliberate. The way you tilt your head, the way you shift your weight slightly, the way your hands glide slowly along his body before withdrawing, it all feeds into the growing tension. The absence of touch becomes as powerful as the touch itself because it leaves him longing for more. You're essentially playing a game of psychological seduction where each moment serves to intensify his desire for the next. By the time you even begin to go down on him, he should feel like his entire body has been primed. His mind is already racing, his body is already hypersensitive, and his anticipation is peaking. You've created an environment where even the slightest touch feels amplified. because you've allowed the tension to build slowly and deliberately, layer upon layer, until every nerve in his body is alive with expectation. When most people think about pleasing a man, they zero in on one area, one target, as though that's where the entire experience begins and ends. But the truth is, his pleasure doesn't start there. His arousal isn't confined to one part of his anatomy. His entire body is a map filled with nerve endings, sensitivities, and zones of vulnerability that rarely get the attention they deserve. When you learn how to explore him fully, when you treat his whole body as the playground it is, you create an experience that's far more intense, more immersive, and ultimately far more unforgettable than if you simply skipped to the obvious. You begin by shifting your own mindset. You don't approach him with the intention of completing a task. You approach him with the intention of discovery. He is not a checklist. He is a person whose entire physical being is capable of experiencing desire. When you touch him, do it with curiosity. Move slowly, like you're savoring the experience, like you're allowing yourself to be just as affected by his body as he is by your touch. That mindset translates directly into the energy between you. He feels it. He feels that you're not just there to please him, but that you're genuinely enjoying every second of exploring him. That enjoyment radiates into the experience and makes him feel completely desired. You start with the areas that often go ignored. His neck is filled with nerve endings that can send shivers down his spine with the lightest kiss, the softest graze of your lips. The back of his neck, where the hairline meets the skin, is surprisingly sensitive, your fingertips trailing lightly across that area while your breath hovers just above can create a tingle that travels through his whole body. From there, you move lower to his shoulders, his chest, his stomach. Each of these zones can hold tension, but also sensitivity. As you kiss, lick, and trace your fingers across his chest, you're not just touching skin, you're sending a message. Every part of you is worthy of my attention. His inner arms, his ribs, his sides, even his hands, these areas are filled with nerves that rarely get stimulated in a sexual context. When you pay attention to them, you're not only offering physical pleasure, you're breaking his expectations. Most men aren't used to this kind of full-body worship, which means every new sensation registers as something extraordinary. You're surprising him, keeping him present, heightening his arousal because he's never quite sure what you'll do next. The same goes for his thighs and hips. These areas are incredibly responsive when touched with intention. Running your nails lightly along his inner thigh, kissing your way slowly closer but deliberately avoiding the obvious destination for just a bit longer, builds an intensity that's nearly unbearable in the best way. The closer you get, the more his anticipation will spike, because every inch you cover signals what's coming, but holds him in that place of delicious suspense for just a moment longer. That teasing isn't cruel, it's artful. It allows the tension to mount, and when you finally do reach him, it makes that first touch feel explosive in its intensity. Even his back, his spine, the small of his back, his lower abdomen, these are areas where you can use your lips, your hands, even your breath to create new waves of pleasure. Lightly grazing your fingernails down his back while kissing his shoulders can make his entire body arch toward you, craving more contact. You're training his body to respond to you on multiple levels, not just physically, but emotionally. He feels seen, he feels taken care of, and he feels deeply connected to you in a way that transcends the act itself. The beauty of focusing on his entire body is that you're constantly surprising him. He doesn't know where your hands or lips will land next. That unpredictability keeps his mind engaged, his body hyper-aware, and his senses overwhelmed. It's not just that you're stimulating him, you're controlling the rhythm of his arousal. You're building it, releasing it slightly, and then building it again, creating waves that keep rising higher each time. The entire experience becomes a journey that he's completely surrendered to because you're guiding every moment. And as you explore, remember that your own enjoyment feeds directly into his experience. When he sees you genuinely captivated by his body, when he hears the sounds you make as you savor each inch of his skin, when he feels your breath quicken in sync with his own, that energy becomes infectious. He's not just being pleased, he's being desired, admired, even worshipped, and that feeds his arousal in a way no technique alone ever could. The secret to keeping him completely captivated is variety. Monotony is the quickest way to take an experience from electric to mechanical. The moment something becomes predictable, it loses its power. His body, like anyone's, adapts quickly to repetitive sensations. What felt intense at first can begin to numb if the rhythm never changes, if the pressure remains the same, if the technique is on autopilot. But when you master the art of variety, you turn every moment into a surprise, every touch into a discovery, and every movement into a new height of pleasure that keeps building on itself. You start by observing him as you begin, his breathing, his small movements, the way his body reacts to your first touch, all give you a real-time map of what's landing. You don't have to guess, you just have to pay attention. Begin softly, almost playfully, letting your lips barely graze him, using just the tip of your tongue to tease and awaken his sensitivity. The lightest flick, a gentle swirl, a soft kiss, all serve as your opening notes. You're not trying to overwhelm him right away. You're letting his body wake up to you, priming him for what's to come. The anticipation you've built up until now feeds directly into this moment. Then you shift, introducing contrast. After the lightness, you introduce more pressure. Your lips close a little more, your tongue presses a little firmer, your hand begins to glide in rhythm with your mouth. This combination of hand and mouth working together not only increases sensation, but allows you to control pace and pressure with precision. Your hand provides stability while your mouth dances, allowing you to adjust easily, adding layers to the experience. The rhythm you set matters. Too fast too soon robs the moment of depth. Too slow for too long risks losing the momentum you've created. The magic lives in the fluctuations. You build up slowly, finding a steady rhythm that gets his breath to catch. Once you feel him settling into that pace, that's your cue to switch it up. Slow down unexpectedly, let him feel that momentary absence of stimulation, then return with a firmer, more focused stroke. The change creates a wave of new intensity, catching him off guard in the best possible way. Your tongue becomes an instrument of its own. Use the flat of your tongue for broad, warm strokes that cover more surface and send heat radiating through his body. Then switch to the tip of your tongue for sharper, more focused sensations that feel more targeted and precise. Trace circles, draw patterns, move from side to side, and occasionally introduce unexpected changes, a sudden flick, a slow drag, a quick pulse. Each variation keeps his mind engaged and his body guessing. Breath control also plays its part. Let your breathing mirror the pace you're setting with your movements. A steady, controlled breath as you work more slowly. A quicker, shallower breath as you intensify. The sound and feel of your breath against him adds another layer of stimulation that pulls him deeper into the moment. Occasionally, let your breath wash over him with just your lips hovering close but not touching, creating a warm anticipation that makes the next contact feel even more powerful. Use your hands to complement your mouth, not just to stabilize, but to create simultaneous sensations. While your mouth focuses on one area, your hand can explore the base, his thighs, or gently massage areas that heighten his sensitivity. Light squeezes, gentle tugs, soft strokes. These little additions create a multi-dimensional experience where he feels enveloped by your attention. The key is to make him feel that there's always something happening, always some new layer of pleasure unfolding. Even your facial expressions contribute to the experience. When he opens his eyes and sees the look of hunger and enjoyment on your face, it sends a surge of excitement through him. Your own arousal becomes contagious. He isn't just experiencing physical pleasure. He's seeing how much you're enjoying giving it, and that creates a powerful emotional connection that amplifies everything physically. Every few minutes, surprise him again. Pause completely, look up at him, run your tongue along him slowly, smile at him, then dive back in with a completely new rhythm or pressure. These sudden shifts make him hyper-aware, keeping every nerve in his body on high alert. The unpredictability ensures that his arousal keeps climbing instead of plateauing, making every second feel fresh and intensely pleasurable. One of the most powerful tools you have when giving him pleasure isn't found in any specific technique, movement, or method. It's in your ability to read him. His body is constantly speaking to you, offering you a live, real-time guide to exactly what he wants, what's driving him wild, and what's taking him over the edge. Most people are too focused on themselves or their own performance to hear it. But when you know how to listen to him without words, you create an experience that feels completely personalized, almost like you're inside his head, knowing exactly what he craves in every moment. The first thing to understand is that his breath is your most immediate feedback loop. From the moment you touch him, his breathing will shift. A slight intake of breath as you glide your tongue across him. A sharp exhale as you apply more pressure. The rise and fall of his chest tells you how his arousal is building. If his breathing becomes erratic, if he starts gasping or moaning softly, you know you've found a rhythm or sensation that's really landing. When you notice those moments, stay there just a little longer. Let him soak in the pleasure before you move to the next wave. His body language offers just as much information. Pay attention to the way his muscles tense when you hit the right spot. Watch how his hips subtly lift toward you, how his hands might grip the sheets, the bed, or even your hair. These are all signs that his body is craving more of what you're giving. Sometimes his legs might tremble slightly, or his stomach might contract as the pleasure intensifies. All of these physical reactions are involuntary. He's not consciously trying to signal you. His body simply can't help but respond when you touch him in the right way. When you see these reactions, let them guide you. They're his way of telling you, without saying a word, that you're unlocking something deeply pleasurable for him. Listen, too, to the sounds he makes. Men aren't always as vocal as they could be, but when they're truly lost in the moment, little noises escape without effort. A low groan, a sharp gasp, a whispered moan. These sounds aren't just expressions of pleasure, they're cues you can follow. When he starts making those sounds more frequently, you know you're building him up. If the sounds pause or soften, that may be your signal to change the pace, adjust the pressure, or surprise him with a new movement that reignites his reaction. His hands can also reveal a lot. If he's running his fingers through your hair, gripping your shoulders, or pulling you closer, he's expressing his desire for you to continue, to go deeper, to keep going exactly where you are. If he tenses or grabs tighter when you make a particular movement, that's often his body telling you that sensation is especially intense. These small, instinctive actions can guide you far more effectively than any verbal instruction. Even his face carries messages if you take the time to look up occasionally. His eyes might close tighter, his mouth may fall open slightly, his jaw might clench at certain points of heightened pleasure. The expressions he makes as you work your magic are windows into exactly how your movements are landing. Glancing up at him also adds another layer of intimacy, making him feel seen and allowing your eye contact to fuel his arousal even further. All of these cues are happening in real time, and your job is to stay completely tuned in. The more connected you are to his responses, the more customized your movements become. Instead of simply repeating the same motion mindlessly, you're making constant micro-adjustments based on how his body reacts. Slow when he seems overwhelmed. Intensify when he can't help but lift his hips toward you. Tease when you sense he's about to reach a peak, drawing out the moment a little longer before pushing him closer again. This constant reading and adjusting create a dynamic experience that feels deeply personal to him. It's no longer just about the physical sensations. It's about how seen and understood he feels in your hands. He experiences not just the pleasure of your touch, but the powerful sensation that you're fully present with him, fully attentive, fully in tune with every part of his body. That kind of connection elevates the experience to something far beyond physical gratification, pulling him into a space where his mind, body, and emotions are all completely engaged. There's a kind of pleasure that goes far beyond the mechanics of touch, technique, or physical skill. It's the kind of pleasure that comes from feeling deeply desired, completely connected, and utterly seen in the moment. When you make intimacy about connection instead of performance, you create an experience that sticks with him not because of how skilled you were, but because of how deeply he felt you were there with him. People often get so wrapped up in trying to do things the right way, worrying if they're using the right moves, if they're being impressive enough, or if they're doing everything perfectly. But in that mindset, the energy shifts away from the shared experience and into a place of pressure and self-judgment. The focus becomes about executing a routine rather than immersing in the moment. And the truth is, even flawless technique feels flat if the energy behind it isn't genuine. What creates unforgettable pleasure isn't mechanical perfection. It's emotional engagement. It's him feeling that you are fully present, that you're not in your head thinking about how you look or whether you're doing it correctly, but that you're completely immersed in the experience of giving him pleasure. When you approach him with real desire, with authentic enthusiasm, that energy is palpable. He doesn't just feel your touch, he feels your hunger for him, your enjoyment of his body, your excitement about the experience you're both sharing. That energy is magnetic. It draws him in and creates a depth that simple technique can't replicate. Your eyes, your breath, your movements all carry a kind of silent communication. When you look up at him while you're pleasuring him, when your eyes meet and you hold that gaze for just a moment, it sends a powerful message. It says, I'm here with you. I want you. I love giving this to you. That connection instantly amplifies his arousal. It's no longer just about the physical sensation he's receiving. It's about the emotional high of feeling completely wanted and deeply connected to you in that moment. Your sounds play into this as well. The small moans you release, the soft breaths, the slight sighs of pleasure you let escape, they let him know that you're enjoying every second, that you're not just performing for him, but that you're genuinely turned on by the act of giving him pleasure. Those subtle cues feed directly into his arousal. They create a loop where your pleasure intensifies his and his response fuels yours even more. Touch him with intention. Don't simply move your hands or your mouth as if you're completing steps. Let every movement carry a message. When your hands run along his thighs, do it with the kind of reverence that says you're savoring the feel of his skin, that his body excites you. When your mouth explores him, do it with curiosity and hunger, as if every inch of him is something you want to taste and explore. That kind of intention turns every movement into something sensual, personal, and electric. Even your pace should reflect that connection. If you notice him breathing heavier, if you sense his body tensing, you don't have to push him to climax right away. You can slow down, pulling back slightly, letting him linger in that space of high arousal. It shows that you're in control, that you're savoring every reaction, and that you're not rushing through the experience just to reach a goal. It becomes a dance of building and teasing, guiding him through waves of pleasure that feel completely absorbing.